It's Guy and Tim. We're back with David Fishof. We had a fascinating conversation in the first half. So, Fish, again, tell us the business of Rock and Roll Camp and your vision, where it's been, where it's going, the lives you've changed. Obviously, we're really interested in the stories behind it.
Well, Rock Camp is not a great wasn't a great business when I first started. I got to be honest with you because I'm limited to 14 bands, 14 drummers, 14 bass players. So as a business, it wasn't the greatest business of everything. I just wanted to do something that I could give back and change people's lives. And then a gentleman named Scott Keller from McKinsey and Company came in and he was attended my camp and he said, I did the Judas Priest camp. I got my dream. I got my dream. And Scott turned me around and I called him up. I said, hey, now that I made your dreams, can you help make my dreams? Show me how to run my business properly. So I
love that, by the way. I love how McKinsey comes in with a little Rob Halford. And McKinsey reshape the future of Rock Camp. Love it.
And it's what happened. Scott Keller, he calls me up. He says, you tell me you need, whatever you need. And he gets me, he says, I'm going to put a dinner together with you with 6 of the smartest people I have at McKinsey and friends. And he brings Amy Howe, the CEO of Ticketmaster. He brings the gentleman who, the band, they are giants, and the father, the guitar player's father works at McKinsey. They sit me down.
That's a great band, dinner, by the way.
Yeah, and he sits me down and they say, okay, David, you got 10 minutes to tell us your issues. Then we're going to ask you questions in 10 minutes and then basically going to shut the F up and we're going to tell you what we think you should do. And they sat me down and they went through my books and they helped turn my business around. They said, David, it was unbelievable what they did. And Scott Keller really saved my life.
Well, and one of the things that people don't know, and your book is certainly, again, it's almost a book for entrepreneurs, but rock your business, certainly the business of rock and roll, and talk about, you've mentioned Kiss a couple times, Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley. Talk about these guys as entrepreneurs. Talk about who created more CPG, direct to consumer, their own product line. They had more SKUs than Macy's did on the stores. So it's amazing what Kiss did.
It's amazing what Kiss did. It's amazing what the Beatles, amazing what Aerosmith. I wrote this book, Rock Your Business, a few years ago because I really wanted to show people what you can learn from these rock stars. They have kept their brands going for 50 years. They're still grossing millions of dollars every night in live business, from Springsteen on down. What they have done, what our business has done, it's the creative stuff. When Apple when Apple started, it was the Beatles. They called it Apple. People don't realize the culture that comes from corporate America all started from music. And, I have this great team building program I do, and, but where I bring people in, big name rock stars, to write songs with corporate executives and to get the creativity out. So I'm telling you that people, and I remember Lita Ford turned to me at one of these, she says, David, she says to me, can you imagine these corporate people are asking us to teach them team building? And they thought we were bums 40 years ago. And you're right, but these teams have kept together and they are successful. When Steve Tyler tries to leave Aerosmith and goes out, and Nick even tries to leave the Rolling Stones, it doesn't work as successful as being in that group. So I always thought that with the Beatles too. And yes, it was John Lennon. Yes, it was Paul McCartney. But Ringo added so much.
Totally.
Harrison did. So you learn a lot from rock and roll, and all these corporations, all this tech stuff that came out from Napster on down. It was all the music. Yep. And so there's so much to learn from rock and roll. And,
in a world where a lot of these, a lot of musicians and artists, at least in rock and roll today, the 360 deals, and it's really all about your ability to control your own brand and merch and touring and whatnot. Kiss controlled their business from day one, so it seemed.
Smart guy. Sammy Hagar, another smart guy. Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, geniuses. What they are, and people are attending their concerts. So anyways, that's what I try to create the Rock Camp to give people the opportunity to meet these people, to learn from these people. And what's happened great at the camp is that the rock star attends and they end up staying for a lot of time, and because they enjoy giving back to these individual people. So now we start this.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So now I started this masterclass program, which we're doing every night. If you go to rockcamp.com, you're hearing from these musicians for hours, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3. They're staying on, giving people the advice. and the stuff we're learning is unbelievable. How what's the success of these people? Unlike these people's parents sending their kids to Berkeley School of Music, spending $60,000 a year, from people, they're learning from professors that really haven't made it. Here,
so
you're gonna learn.
Yeah, so
Come on.
I can be on with Steve Gadd for a couple hours.
Yes.
And, I mean,
and hear what he has to say. It's unbelievable.
Well, I need to hear what he has to say. I could benefit that. So how do people find out about Masterclass? Where do they need to go?
Just go to rockcamp.com, and you'll see on my website, you'll see about masterclasses. And every night we have them. Last night we had Jack Blades, and he talked about songwriting. And I got Jason Flom coming on, the head of Lava Records. I had Shep Gordon. He sold out 3 classes. It was unbelievable. The information you get, they started $100, nothing. But well, you will learn so much from these people. We
spent some time with Jack Blades on this show, and he's what a great guy. Again,
great guy. Great storyteller.
The nexus and the linkage throughout rock and roll that he has touched. But what you've talked about here also with the Masterclass, and one of the things we talk about on Fast Money all the time is what's been going on in many different hospitality and interactive dynamics. But in the COVID-19 environment, the fact that the Masterclass works is something that not only does it work because of the environment, but that's something where there's a tailwind and post COVID-19, and we all know we're getting there.
Absolutely.
This is exactly the kind of format that frankly is attaching big multiples to big companies that have figured out how to find, again, this type of audience, daily active users, monthly active users. I mean, these are the same metrics we're talking about when we're talking about Facebook and Google. So congrats on that.
Thank you. And I guess that's why these stocks are the ones that are really flying through the air, right?
Well, speaking of flying through the air, I think we got to keep flying. Guy, what's left on your mind?
No, it's fascinating, Fish. I mean, it just goes to show you have to be open to the possibilities. I mean, think about your career 40 years ago and think where you are now. So you have to, I think for the audience, I think they're fascinated to hear, you bet on yourself in life and it's paid off. Can you sort of speak to that willingness to take a risk?
So that's what it's about. As a promoter, I'll never forget, I was John Scher, a great rock promoter in New Jersey. Yeah. We're flying to Vegas together for a Polestar convention. I said, "You going to gamble?" And at the tables, he said, "No, I don't gamble." I put up his whole life gambling, being a rock and roll promoter. Right. Yes, we do take chances. I wake up every day, coming up with a new idea, trying to think of a new idea. And the great thing about being on my own and having a small staff is I can turn the company around overnight. So I love to come up with new ideas. Some work, some don't. I've done things that haven't worked. But you learn from those mistakes, and you just hope you're going to have more winners than losers.
Well,
I think that's the way you got to do it.
It sounds like picking stocks, frankly.
Picking stocks and having passion in your life.
Yeah. And you have worked with and bet on people where you saw intrinsic value and you saw major upside to their brands and to what they were doing. And that's extraordinary. Do I now have an automatic spot in drum camp? Whenever we get live, I'm attending the Masterclass. I'm going into the next Masterclass online, and then I need to pack my bags, pack my sticks, pack my cowbell.
I'm ready to go in May. I got the Scorpions in May in Vegas. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that the world will change. We'll find the virus and we'll go back to doing live camps. I'm going to do one in New York. I had one planned with Cheap Trick, and doing the Beatles Sgt. Pepper's album was amazing. I did it in LA. We're going to reproduce it there. So I have so many great ideas to do camps. And then I'm excited really about the movie. We have a documentary film coming out that was produced by Doug Blush, who Doug Blush did 20 Feet from Stardom. He did Leviticus. He edited Period, and he's just an amazing guy. Took the Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, and for the last 5 years, he's put together an amazing film that we'll be releasing in January. So I'm hoping you guys will see it, and you must come to camp, both of you. You gotta come see it.
We're gonna get Guy playing more than the kazoo. And Dave Fish, it's been a pleasure. Congrats on your success, and
Thank you.
Rock your business, my man.
Appreciate it all. Thank you.
Okay.